Hello there, welcome back to another review. So today we're going to be looking at one of the D&B films from back in the 80s, back in that heyday, which were very much in vogue at the time, the idea of girls, cops and guns, car chases, etc., that kind of thing. So the film in question is Royal Warriors. So made back in 1986, directed by David Chung and starring the forever talented, amazing performer, actress, that is Michelle Yeoh. It's the second in the line of loosely connected movies in the Line of Duty franchise. The first being Yes Madam with Cynthia Rothrock, which of course I will get round to reviewing Yes Madam. It can get confusing with the Yes Madams and in the Line of Duties. A lot of people do get a bit confused because it seems like certain films are sort of missing because some of the titles are different, and then sometimes they've all got loads of different names when they were released originally. But this is actually the set. If you know of Yes Madam, this is actually the second in the line of movies that, as I say, we'll get around to reviewing soon. Whilst the D&B films were not by no means masterpieces, they did provide pure entertainment in terms of action, simple cops versus villains. Look at Better Tomorrow by John Woo, made that same year. I mean, the difference being between that film and this one is mind-blowing. If you look at like Royal Warriors compared to Better Tomorrow, which was made the same year, the two films are very, very different. D&B films, like I say, while not churning out necessarily like 100% pure masterpieces, the films are still very, very entertaining, and there's a lot to be said for some of the output that come from D&B films back in the day. But whilst Better Tomorrow had a huge impact, because Royal Warriors didn't, it doesn't mean, I'm only comparing it because it was made the same year and Better Tomorrow was absolutely huge. It doesn't mean that this film is any less entertaining. This movie is made with one goal in mind, basically to capitalise on the success of Yes Madam that was made the year before. Obviously, Michelle reaching new levels of fame and success with, latest films like Everything Everywhere All at Once, being a Bond girl. In her youth, she studied ballet at the Royal Academy of Dance in London. I mean, this is a woman, Michelle Yeoh, she's got everything, right? She's just got everything. She's got looks, she's got acting skills, she's got martial arts, you name it. And it's always fun seeing movies like this in many ways, how it all, sort of started for Michelle Yeoh, and like where sort of some of her earlier films, there's a few to it, obviously, like where she had that small part in Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, and it's interesting looking at these early movies, sort of where it all started for her. In this movie, we always have Sanada Hiroyuki, who I always mainly remember for like being the ninja in Dragon's Den, of course, of recent memory in the Mortal Kombat reboot as Scorpion, and also his character arc in this is somewhat by the numbers in this movie. He does still give a great performance, and he's a wonderful actor. Don't underestimate this guy's acting skills, as he did join the Royal Shakespeare Academy, I believe, at one point. Also have Michael Wong here. This is when the modern day actioners were dominating the box office in Hong Kong. Like I mentioned, it was around sort of the early 80s when they sort of stopped. There were still kung fu movies happening, but it was very much turning into that whole cops and robbers things with the light. I mean, if you look at, say, even from 1983 onwards, like 1984, there was like Wheels on Meals, Modern Day. Then we're getting into films like Police Story, films like I mentioned, Yes Madam, and like here, Royal Warriors. More on that Hollywood cops and robbers type of idea, with the Hong Kong film industry soon making it their own and putting their own spin on it. Some of it, like I say, some of the in the Line of Duty films can be quite confusing for the uninitiated. Yes Madam is sometimes known as Police Assassins. In the Line of Duty 3 doesn't have Michelle, but rather Cynthia Khan. This film was actually called, I say, Police Assassins on UK VHS. I think it was actually called Police Assassins, if I'm right. I think it was when Hong Kong released it on DVD. I think back in ages ago in the UK. I'm pretty sure it got released as Police Assassins. And Yes Madam was I think this film actually was Police Assassins or something, and Yes Madam was Police Assassins 2. See, even I get confused with the titles of all the In the Line of Duties and the Yes Madams. It can get confusing, but yeah, I'm sure if I watched this video back, I probably tripped over myself there. But anyway, we have Pei Ying as our main villain here, who was in some of the very early kung fu movies back in the 70s, most notably against Angela Mao and people like that. Like I say, this film is pure, Royal Warriors is pure Hong Kong action cinema. It's by no means a classic. You wouldn't say, oh God, have you seen Royal Warriors? But it's an entertaining movie, and that's not being funny, that's the whole reason why we watch films in the first place, right? It's to be entertained. So before this release, I'll put it out there, I'd never seen this movie at all. I'd never seen this. I often got it confused, Raw Warriors with Magnificent Warriors, also starring Michelle Yeoh, but that is a review for another time. So straight out the bat, when the film starts, it's very 80s, right? It's very 80s. We got the jackets, the look, the music. And it's worth noting as well, this film was produced by Chung with action by Mang Hoi. So it starts with this ex-gang member working at a restaurant who wants out of the gang he was in. They turn up and gets chased by them wielding like samurai swords through the streets. You know, as you do, you got to get the action going right away. Yeoh gets involved and gives chase. Notice that no one else does, though, at this point as well. Notice that this guy's being chased through the streets by these sword-wielding guys, and Michelle Yeoh's the only one that's giving chase. Nobody else is interested or even seems phased, actually, about what is going on. So after a cool opening fight, we learn Michelle is a cop, go figure, and yes, her name is Michelle in this. We have Paul Chung here escorting the prisoner on a flight, all board on a plane, and we also have Michael Wong. Yes, his name is Michael in this as well. Michelle and Yamamoto Sanada's character here too. Michael Wong's character, he's like an air marshal. They're on this plane. There's this prisoner being escorted. So this guy in the plane shoots Paul Chung and his buddy and gets him to release the prisoner. What is strange is I don't think you see the plane sort of taking off or even like an exterior shot of the plane, which is really weird. It's like where they're just in this, like they're in the plane, but let's say you don't see any outside shots of the plane. You don't actually see the plane taking off from the runway or anything like that. We just assume they're on the plane, they're airborne, they're in the sky. We'll just assume they're in the air. So Michelle and Yamamoto make a break for it. Lots of fighting and gunfire here. Again, no one seems to be worried about getting hurt or even a bullet going through the plane window or anything like that. People are just sitting in their chairs, you know, just not really phased. They're all patient and quiet in their seats. Not even sure why they're on this plane, just coincident, I guess. I think Michelle is on vacation and Yamamoto is like going to see his family. So after a cool fight scene involving a fire extinguisher, one of the baddies breaks a window with it, and he ends up getting like his head stuck and frozen in the window. They kill his boss Tiger, who ends up pulling a grenade, to which Yamamoto stores in one of the cupboards, and like with the tin food, and it sort of blows up. So it's all going on, it's all kicking off on this plane. So after the plane lands, he gets reunited with his family. Michael Wong in this, he's sort of like the love interest, right? He's trying to, Michael Wong's been in loads and loads and loads of movies. But he's sort of like the love interest for Michelle, and he's sort of trying to chat her up. She goes into the police station at one point to meet her team. He sends her over some flowers and he's waiting outside, and she just goes like to see him. She's in the police station for literally like 2 seconds. I think at one point it says this was even the same day as the hijacking. So, with these cops, there's never ever a report to fill out. They never have to like do all the paperwork or anything like that, or work to do. So after getting herself a cab, he just follows her, right? Going back to Michael Wong, and his character in this does border on annoying, because his whole thing is just keep chasing and pestering Michelle, right? This is all like Michael Wong does in this movie. He gets sort of a thing for her, and he just keeps on pestering her like all the time. The whole idea of him being like an air marshal and cop just sort of goes out the window. It sort of takes second place. You even forget that he even was or is an air marshal. So this gang want to avenge those that got killed on the plane, and Lam Wei, who you remember from, he was in Project A2, as Raging Bull, takes this call from an unknown accomplice. So Michelle, Michael, Yamamoto and his family all go out for a meal, basically, right, to celebrate their success on the plane. Like, we got that guy, we're a good team, we nailed it together. Yamamoto has quit his job as a policeman, is going back to Japan like the next day and wants to spend more time with his family. So it's all sweet and light and fun. You know damn well something is going to happen, right? When any of these kind of movies, whenever somebody's got a family and it's all going on nicely and everybody's getting on, something's going to happen. And so the thing that happens is his family in their car, like, it blows up. So he loses his wife and his daughter. And also, if you take a look at Michelle's coat in this scene, it looks like a dressing gown, right? Such is the, of the time, with the fashion and things like that. And also, with it, like, regarding what they did with blowing up the car, why would these villains kill his wife and kids? The whole idea is Raging Bull wants to get payback for what happened on the plane, right? We'll get more into the plot as it progresses on with the film, but the whole idea is he wanted to get payback. They wanted to take out the guys that thwarted, like, got in their way. So why have they killed his daughter and his wife for? Unless the bomb was meant for him, I don't know. Why not just kill him? I mean, he was the one that thwarted their plan. So then you have an amazing car chase with some great angles, and it really is, super well done, orchestrated. And I think it was Blackie Ko who done a lot of the car chases in a lot of the Hong Kong movies. So it's really well done. And the great thing is you can actually see is a lot of the actors here with like many of the Hong Kong movies here are actually doing the work and the driving. Yamamoto jumping from a car and even get buried at one point when it goes to a construction site. We have to have a construction site. I mean, it would not be a Hong Kong movie at all without a construction site in there. I mean, it just has to be done, doesn't it? Michelle comes to save him, and we have an awesome fight on like a digger, and it turns out Raging Bull, the two on the plane and the guy on the phone, these guys, they all made a pact in the war to always be there for one another, basically. They are sort of brothers in arms. They helped each other, but they've turned sort of bad, and like I say, they're sort of aiding each other. And as I say, but I'm not even sure. I don't think why Boss Tiger though was being escorted by the police at the start of the movie, and if they all agree to help. Whenever one of them is in a fix, how come only one of them went on the plane to help? Where were the other two? Because there's four of them, so there's only one person on the plane that would like to try to free Tiger. So you will recognise Michelle's police chief in this movie as Chaibot from Super Cop. If you remember that movie, you'll recognise him here as well. So after going to get some weapons on a frigate, Yamamoto beats up the sellers as he doesn't want to pay for the gun and says he just wants to borrow it. In many ways, you could argue that the movie is more actually his story rather than Michelle's and Michael Wong character's story. You could argue it's actually his story more so than any of the other characters. So even after all this has happened, Wong is still, like I'm going back to with Michael Wong's character, he is still sending Michelle's flowers, right? He's still sending her flowers. He still doesn't take the hint. His whole thing is like, they did this thing at the start of the movie. They thwarted the bad guys. Then he just wants to chat her up and he gets addicted to it. So yeah, he's still trying to chat. I mean, there are more important things going on here, Michael Wong, like the car bombing that happened. They go to this club, and just so happens this is where Yamamoto and Raging Bull are. Like with a lot of Hong Kong movies, I swear Yeoh's hair length changes multiple times. As the film progresses on, I think her hair goes from sort of longer to shorter through various takes throughout the movie, obviously being shot out of sync and out of sequence. So what Bull does is he wants to be clever and subtle. What Raging Bull does is he just lays waste to everyone and everything in the club with an Uzi. Firing like a maniac, like just gunning people down, but Bull takes Yeoh hostage, and after a great action scene, Yamamoto blasts him to death with like this new great big gigantic magnum that he's bought. So it turns out they were all like the club to try and lure Raging Bull out or something like that. We find out that the guy on the phone was Ying, and his brothers saved him in the war from getting blown up by a landmine. Not sure what war. I don't think that's even explained, but it doesn't really matter. So not sure what, it's never explained either why like they turned into such crooks. Like they all went bad. They've all gone on the wrong side of the law, but it's never explained why they went bad. Like why these crooks and these villains in this movie did decide to go down the sort of criminal route. So Michelle told to go on vacation as lots of innocents got killed in the club. Wong yet again greets her outside with some flowers, and it really is like he has nothing better to do, right? To be fair, Michelle does address this. She does tell him, look, your friend's wife is dead. So she does, like I was saying, it's like, people have been blown up. People have died here, and you're just sending me flowers and things like that. She's like, I've been suspended. Can you please just take this seriously? So after having like an argument with his goldfish, she sees this photo through the bowl that he got off Raging Bull and realises there is actually a fourth guy who it turns out is the guy on the phone, which is quite a cool idea. Like there being one more, they think they've got all the guys, and then it's only when he looks through the sort of the goldfish bowl at this photo he realises, oh, hang on, wait a minute, there's another guy, which I thought was quite a cool idea. I think that was quite a cool, little twist there. So he ambushes Wong in the car park and takes him hostage. Yamamoto at this point in the movie has disappeared and is under supervision at like the consulate. Wong phones Michelle to come save him, though. It's a trap, and suddenly they're on top of this building, right? He's taken Michael Wong He's taken him like on top of this building, and it's not even sure how they got up there. Just to say, just to say, go through reception, and just say, hostage situation. Understand it. If you remember, like the Master with Jet Li that I reviewed, that where they're all on the top of this building. I mean, they would have had to have go in the building to actually get up there. So what did they say to the people on the ground floor and reception? It's like, yeah, I've just got to keep this guy hostage, so I'm just going to take him up to the top floor, as long as that's all right with you. It's just so they're on top of this building. So Wong gets hung upside down and ends up falling to his death. So like Michelle doesn't come up there, yet she does anyway. And suddenly the killer is on ground level. Like suddenly he's down on the floor below. I mean, I thought you wanted to kill Michelle too, and then he just leaves. Then we have like Michael Wong's funeral with his first name spelt wrong on the coffin as well. Pei Yang digs him up so he has no resting place and suspends the coffin from a crane at like a quarry site. Though how he moved this coffin and transported it all by himself, I have no idea. Bearing in mind it's a coffin, there's a body in it, how he moved this all by himself, I have no idea. Yamamoto and Michelle both get a videotape showing where their friend is. Yamamoto goes there and his car flips. Michelle turns up in this like armoured military vehicle, which you can actually see on the front there. She turns up in that. So I love how she takes out all the pillars and foundation of the building that Pei Ying is in to send it crashing to the ground. Reminds me a bit like a boxer from Shantung actually, where sort of Miles pulls the stairs down to get to the guys after. So, like I say, the guy she's after, he's gone like full Rambo mode at this point, I might add, going as far as to fight Michelle with like a chainsaw as well at one point. It's a really cool fight scene at the end, and has to be said that Michelle she looks super sexy, right, in her black gloves and jacket, and she absolutely beats the crap out of this guy, right? But Michelle Yeoh looks as wonderful as ever in this movie. It's a shame Yamamoto didn't get more of the action at the end, and it is quite an over too brief ending, unfortunately, as a lot of the films are. When they do get to the ending, it's like they give you an action scene, but sometimes it is over a bit too quickly. But it's a fun, energetic, fast action scene at the end of this movie nonetheless. It's still good. So him and Michelle escape via like this quarry cart with loads of explosion and Michael's coffin, which by the way now has his name spelt right, and ends with them two sort of shunting this coffin along the floor. Like I mentioned, them two are shunting it along the floor. The guy, how he got it, how he transported it on his own, I have no idea. But it's a great, it really does sum up that whole the D&B films type of vibe. I will get round to reviewing sort of the the In the Line of Duties, the Yes Madams as well, because there's quite a few to go through in terms of that 80s. It's nice to be reviewing as well films that aren't just as always. It's usually, with films I review, it's usually either Golden Harvest or Shaw Brothers, isn't it? So it's nice to be doing films that, like I say, not necessarily the main, when you think of Hong Kong movies, like the main stuff, but still fun, fast, and good, entertaining movies nonetheless. So if you have seen Royal Warriors and you have seen this Michelle Yeoh vehicle, let me know what you think of it. Let me know if you enjoyed it. As I say, I'd never seen it before this release, so it's always nice when Eureka or 88 Films release films that I've never seen before, that I've never seen, cut like all the way through, or I've seen parts of, or I've never heard of it, or that kind of thing. So Royal Warriors, which was a film I always got confused with Magnificent Warriors, but it's a great film, and it's one worth checking out just for that great, fast, energetic 80s cops and robbers thing going on. So thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.